Okay, so it's 4:03. I think we start. So I'm Eyal Shenhav. I'm chairman of Goldfarb Gross Deligman and heading the international and high-tech practice of the firm. Most of you on the line know our firm. We're the largest law firm in Israel. 500 lawyers, about 100 doing international and high-tech. And we have a very special demo day today. We have a demo day focused on life sciences and digital health, and very exciting companies, all of them in that space. Basically, I want to introduce my partner, Hili Cohen, who's heading our life science and medical device practice. And Hili, thank you for organizing this event. And also with Hili, Ophir Goldstein, associate in our firm, senior associate in our firm. And wishing you all a great event. Just reminding, the format is 1 hour format. We have 8 companies, each pitching for 7 minutes. Maybe we'll have a minute or two for Q&A for each company. For those of you who are not panelists, if you have questions to the presenters, please do that through the Q&A button. Obviously, we'll try to respond live. If not, we'll respond in the Q&A box. And if not, we'll just connect you to the relevant company. This event will be recorded and will be posted on our website or LinkedIn site. For those of you who want to continue listening or rehear it again or send it to their colleagues and so on. So without further ado, I'm happy to move the microphone to Hili, and Hili, please take it from here.
Thank you, Eyal, and thanks everybody for joining. I'll just say very few words of background about why we've organized this demo event. So in recent years, and more intensely after COVID-19 quarantines, we witnessed increasing use of digital innovations and artificial intelligence in almost every aspect of medicinal and health services. AI opens the door to a different world of services. Amongst others, it enables researchers to diagnose existing and potential medical conditions, to support physicians in performance of surgery or in tough decision-making processes, to provide medical services to residents of rural areas, and to improve health services. Israeli infrastructure is useful in support of digital and AI innovations. Medical records have been digitally kept long before COVID, and substantial and varied data has been collected by local health systems, which data is available for research and commercialization. We therefore thought it would be useful and interesting to host a digital and AI health innovation event, and we invite you to meet today 8 fascinating companies that could influence the world of medicine. Each company will present for 7 minutes, as Eyal said, and we will provide a 1-minute notice before the end of each presentation. So the first speaker would be Dr. Roni Atali, CEO of ASAP. Roni, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So first of all, thank you for inviting me today, and I'll share my screen. And bear with me for a minute because it always... Oh, hold on.
Hey, Roni, that's fine.
Yeah, just a minute. Yeah, but when I press the hold on a minute. Wait, hold on. I'm going to try again. I'm going to try again one more time. Let's try it. Okay. Okay, let's see. Where is the... Very strange. I don't have the... Oh, here. Okay, let's try to see if it works. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Perfect. Great. Amazing. Great. Thank you very much. Okay, so I want to tell you today a little bit about this amazing company named ASAP, which was actually born at Sheba by this amazing team of technologists, as well as the head of the cardiology department and the head of the rehabilitation center of the cardiology department, Robert Klempner. And actually, this company was built from a true pain point. It wasn't just that somebody thought of something and then said, how will we make it work in the healthcare industry? But it was really a pain point that started from Adiel Shalom, which came up with this real need in the cardiology department. That's where we started at first. And actually, the problem that the company wanted to address is the problem of the problem that there's not enough imaging to go worldwide. And there's just simply not enough ways to image everybody and to get medical imaging everywhere, which actually stems a problem, because that means that we have a large percent of misdiagnosis. Today, we know that the best way to diagnose someone is with some sort of form of an imaging. And since we can't really diagnose everyone and we can't have medical imaging available for everybody, that this leads to a very large percentage of misdiagnosis. And in the last, I would say around 10 years or so, people started using what is called point-of-care ultrasound devices. So taking the images to the bedside and trying to save moving the patient from place to place in the hospital and having to take them into these large, more expensive machines, and use these point-of-care ultrasounds at the bedside to make decisions. But the big problem that happened is that the world saw that point-of-care ultrasound, this revolution, still hasn't really become a real revolution. And it's actually for a very specific reason. And the specific reason is that the person that's doing this point-of-care ultrasound is not an expert. He's not a cardiologist or a radiologist, and he's not a technician. So for this reason, he first doesn't really know how to acquire very good images, and there's not really standardization of these images. And also, he doesn't know how to interpret these images. And actually, this is where ASAP began, by developing our first application, as you can figure out, since we started in the cardiology department, for cardiac, for echo. And what we term our device as point-of-care assisted diagnostics, or POCAD. And what we do is actually really address these two pain points of helping the physician, non-expert, to acquire good images, and then to help him interpret it and make clinical decisions based on this AI system. So just a little bit about our platform, and I'll mention again that this platform is not meant for the cardiologist. It's meant more for the non-expert physician, maybe the primary care physician, maybe the ED physician or the internalist, but it's not meant for a technician or a cardiologist. It actually reduces the fact that the cardiologist doesn't have to be there all the time. And for this reason, we have to do it very simple, very quickly, and with a minimum amount of positions, okay? So if we compare a full echo that's done today, which takes about 45 minutes, what we do here is we do an almost complete echo analysis, or probably 85% of a complete echo analysis in 5 minutes, from only 3 different views as compared to a full echo, which you have to find 9 different views in order to do it. And then just a minimum amount of training, 2 hours training. And we train these physicians and maybe nurses and nurse practitioners to do this at the bedside. 4 simple steps. The first step is actually to give them a real live indication score, letting them understand that what they're scanning right now is good enough for AI analysis and also good enough for their eye. That's number 1. Number 2 is to do the complete diagnostics and give them an almost full echo, so 85% of a full echo, 12 different indications. And very important here, as opposed to different AI companies, what we do here is complete diagnostics. We don't just triage or say that there's something wrong with one of the valves, but we also mention the severity of the indication. So whether it's normal, mild, moderate, or severe, and we really give them a diagnosis of each one of these 12 pathologies. We later let the physician review from an FDA medical legal standpoint that the physician has to review it. And then we give them an automated report, which we can inject into their EMR. These are all the indications that we're giving. So we're looking at the left ventricle, the right ventricle. We're looking at all the valvular pathologies, which is quite different. There's not another company out there that does this. We're looking at peripheral effusion, so the fluid of the heart, and also the intervena cava diameter. So pretty much 85% of a full echo in 5 minutes at the bedside. A little bit of early clinical experience. So we are here based locally at Sheba. So Sheba is pretty much our playground. And we've done a large prospective study of 1,300 patients in the course of a year. And what we found is out of these 1,300 patients, 35% of these patients, which would have not been triaged for an echo here at Sheba, maybe a few weeks later at an outpatient clinic, but not here while they're here at Sheba. 35% of these patients, we found one new moderate condition. So look at the misdiagnostic here. Many conditions that wouldn't have been diagnosed if ASAP wasn't here. 27% of these patients had some sort of an impact on their treatment of management, whether it was early discharge or optimizing their workflow or maybe changing their prescription or giving them additional recommendations. And even more important, out of that, 4% of these patients were actually admitted for some sort of a cardiac intervention, whether it's a TAVR or some sort of other valvular replacement. So 4% of these patients were actually admitted, and these interventions were actually ASAP-driven interventions. They would probably not have been found if ASAP was not here available and were available commercially here at Sheba. So just wrapping up to let everybody understand, yes, we did start here at the cardiology department. So our first application is really a cardiac application. But when we look at the vision of ASAP, we kind of want to be the next tricorder. I don't know, for all you, if anybody here is a Star Trek fan, what we imagine us is pointing the tricorder at the patient and saying, okay, you have this is good, this is not good. So this is how we're looking at it. We already have an additional application that we're quite advanced with for vascular, for DVT and AAA, and we're looking to really span the whole body. And as I said, be the next tricorder.
1 minute, Moni.
Yeah, at the end, thank you. If we're looking at the milestones of ASAP, so ASAP is a full power, very young company. We were actually founded in 2022, and we're able to do all of this by now. So it's only 2 years. We've raised $13 million. We submitted our FDA a couple of months ago. We're expecting our FDA for the full cardiac package in about 3 to 4 months. Our market today, we're looking, we have some commercial, we are commercially available in Israel. We have an Amar, so we have 3 hospitals here in Israel, which have been advancing with us with contracts. We're commercially available at Sheba. And we have several pilots that are running right now at hospitals in the US, hoping to commercialize them while we have an FDA. These are the bigger hospitals. We're also looking at the rural hospitals, and that's pretty much where our initial market is. And that's it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ronnie. This was fascinating. Thanks.
This is very impressive. You accomplished a lot in a very short time.
Yes.
Who is the leading investor in the company?
Hold on a minute. Again?
Who are the lead investors in the company?
So we have several investors. So our 2 leading investors is Arel, the health venture of Arel, is one of our investors. We also have Shoni from Sheba, which has invested in us. And then we have a group of angel investors. We have Ron Zuckerman's family office, which just recently invested in us, and a few others. Strategic, like Tamir Pardo.
You have open, the round is still open, or you closed the round?
So no, we closed the SAFE round a couple months ago. We're looking to start fundraising for our round A towards the end of the year. But what we are looking for right now is strategical VCs, which can talk to us and tell us, listen, these are the milestones that you need to hit for us to be interested in investing in you, since we do have enough money right now for runway. We have enough money to develop and do what we need, but we're looking for VCs that will really take that way with us and help us, guide us with, we know what our milestones are, but we're hoping that those are the correct milestones for us.
Thank you very much. It's very, very impressive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. So next is Dr. Alon Boyman from Mavericks. Alon.
Second, let's share screen.
The medical guys are always doctors.
Can you see it okay? Everything's fine? Great. So before I begin, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to showcase the potential and achievements of our digital health products. My name is Alon. I'm the CEO of Mavericks for the last 10 years and founder. I also practice as a family physician for over 20 years. I served as an army doctor and held several management positions in the healthcare organization in Israel over the years. So I'm quite familiar with the different aspects and needs of our healthcare system. Today, I'm going to present DocTalk, our digital triage solution for primary care. DocTalk is intended to manage the patient the moment the medical need emerges by performing immediate professional-grade and accurate clinical assessment. I'm sure it's not the first time you've heard about a solution of this kind. So first of all, let me just say that DocTalk already operates on 3 installation sites for the last 2.5 years. And in a few months, it will also operate on a specially designed kiosk stand in the emergency care centers of Maccabi, second largest HMO in Israel. What's special about DocTalk compared to many other solutions in this field is, first of all, it allows the patient to describe the medical need in his own words using our proprietary clinical search engine. Above that, DocTalk allows the medical manager of the healthcare organization to implement a customized and localized rule system, which makes DocTalk a highly flexible decision support system. As you can see, our customers are some of the largest healthcare organizations in Israel. We all know that having a great product is not enough. A company in this business has to have the experience and knowledge of how to approach and work with healthcare organizations, and especially to have the deep understanding of the extremely high standards we are required to meet. We have two lines of products. Both of them share the same goal of lowering the friction of giving medical care. In other words, making the lives of the medical staff easier. QX here on the left is our solution designed to be used by the practitioner. I'm not going to elaborate about QX because this is a whole different subject, but it is worth mentioning that QX operates on primary care, home care, and digital pathology, and we have tremendous results with this product. Today, we're going to focus on DocTalk, which is designed to be used by the patient at the earlier stages of the medical process, even before the first interaction with the doctor or nurse. In a few moments, I'll show you a short video clip that demonstrates how DocTalk works. But before that, we really have to understand the biggest problem we're facing in my profession, which is not being available to our patients. We have gigantic emergency rooms filled with the most advanced technology, but it could take up to 12 hours just to have a few blood tests and a chest X-ray done. It can take up to 6 months to see a gastroenterologist and up to a year to have an appointment in a pain clinic. Most people think that if we invest more resources into building more medical facilities and training more doctors and nurses, things will get better. But no, they won't. They won't because the lack of resources is not the cause of our poor availability. The cause of this reality is something completely different. It is ineffective routing or triage, which is the same of the patient. The entire medical process is initiated based on the patient's feelings and intuition, and therefore it is prolonged, inefficient, and can even sometimes endanger the patient. So what do we currently do in attempt to avoid that? We currently perform human triage, usually done by a nurse in places it's absolutely critical, for example, at the ER, even though it's a well-known fact that in many cases, triage is also done by a medical secretary, which completely lacks the knowledge to do that. But in most cases, medical visits are done without triage at all, and the result is indescribable inefficiency. There is simply not enough nurses. What we need is automation, and that is the essence of DocTalk, the ability to perform professional-grade, accurate clinical assessment and then make a relevant decision about it. It is important to say that we're not talking about diagnosing the patient, we're talking about knowing what is the next best move for the patient. I'm now going to show you the short video clip I talked about that will demonstrate one out of several possible setups that DocTalk operates in. In this example, a patient is having a chest pain at his home, is calling the nurse call centers, and enters a long waiting list. While waiting, he will interact with DocTalk, and you can see here. I'm going to stop for a moment to emphasize something I mentioned earlier, which is that the patient describes the medical complaint in his own words, as we can see here. He doesn't have to choose from different menus or autocomplete words. The patient actually writes and even can misspell his complaint, and still DocTalk will understand the context of the medical need and then provide relevant questioning. The search engine has the ability to learn from failed search attempts using AI, so it is an evolving, ever-growing component. Next, the patient answers the questions. DocTalk presents him. At the end, DocTalk sends a short summary to the nurse and then gives an alert informing the nurse that this case is an urgent one, as we can see here. Okay. So based on what we've just seen, it sounds as if we're going to have AI nurses and AI doctors in no time. And actually, it's something we've been asked many times by nurses and doctors. Are you trying to replace us? Well, it turns out that trying to replace doctors and nurses is a very bad selling point, and in my opinion, a very bad idea in general. So no, we're not trying to replace doctors and nurses. And the best way of answering this concern is by presenting a very simple question, which is, when will you allow a self-driving car to take your child to school? I think we all know the answer to that, and it's the same for AI nurses or doctors. So again, DocTalk interacts with patients before the medical visit, allowing us to work more efficiently. And again, no, we're not trying to replace or reduce medical staff. To sum everything I've just said, on the first step, the patient describes his symptom in his own words. Second step, DocTalk presents relevant clinical questions in order to perform accurate clinical assessment. And at the end, DocTalk generates a professional clinical grade summary that is sent to the EMR and takes a decision based on the clinical data. This decision is based on a customized rule system the medical manager of the healthcare organization can implement. Being a bootstrap company, our next milestone in our roadmap is collaborating with a large healthcare organization abroad. Of course, we definitely value the advice of experienced professionals. And even though we're not actively seeking for investment, of course, we should, if such an opportunity emerge, we'll be glad to discuss it. Thank you. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Alon. This was very illustrative and easy to understand. Thank you. So unless there are any questions, we'll move to Neuralight. Eddie?
Oh, someone asked, is our platform multi-language? Was it sent to us? I don't know.
Yes, so just
well, it is multi-language. The answer is yes.
So, okay, so next one is Eddie from Neuralight. Eddie?
Thank you. Thanks for organizing this really cool event and letting me share screen.
Don't you have to release the share screen?
So thank you so much for organizing this and letting me speak. So it's a pleasure to be here. We are Neuralight. We are about so in general, what we aim for is becoming the new gold standard in neurology. We are about 3 years old, 30 people in Tel Aviv. We raised about $30 million up to date. And currently, even though we're talking about changing the way neurology works in general, we're focusing specifically on Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, and ALS. And specifically, we're not talking about direct patient care in the very, very near term. We're focusing on supporting drug discovery. So we are running multiple Parkinson's and MS studies all over the world. And specifically, we're collaborating with an ALS drug trial that just ended a couple of months ago. The results will be out in June. In a nutshell, what we do is we're leveraging very small abnormalities in eye movements, and we're translating them into a full assessment of a neurological condition of a patient in a way that's like clinically meaningful and clear and very actionable. One might ask why this is necessary, because usually people that are not neurologists would assume that in our days there is a lot of imaging and biological tests. Specifically, in most neurological disorders, the neurodegenerative ones, such as and as well as the psychiatric ones, the basic way to assess and diagnose a patient is using a bedside examination. So it's based on questioning a patient regarding their existence and severity of symptoms, or the physician assessing them just by looking at them and touching them. This is, of course, a way that's very prone to a lot of problems and noise. starting with a lot of misdiagnosis. In Parkinson's, for instance, in the first few years, there's about 30% of misdiagnosis, but specifically, it also impedes very much drug development, both since not all patients in a drug trial have the right disease in very large quantities. The process is very noisy, very unreliable, dependent on a lot of subjective assessments of raters, and that decreases the chance for actual drugs to be approved, makes the process much, much longer. And the whole problem is getting worse since the population ages and because of environmental factors and neurological disorders in general become much more prominent than they used to be. So as I said, our short-term goal is to push forward drug development in neurology. The way we do that is, so what we have is a platform that's software-based. It's running on a standard laptop, and there is proprietary technology that captures these small eye movements I mentioned earlier and turns them into clear clinical information. Now, we did not need to invent any of the science behind that. This is something that's been researched for over 100 years, has a lot of effort invested in it in the last 20 years. And the main barrier to turn this into something that's useful was that it was something that needed very specialized equipment and was mainly happening in academia and in research and labs. So we're seeing ourselves as a company that takes the barriers and using the fact that we can do lab level accuracy measurements in the clinical setting, in the real world, then we can use this non-invasive and very user-friendly way to give information that is actually more accurate than the one that's being collected today. So when we're talking to pharma companies, then the value we're talking about is actually supporting their decision-making process in drug trials. So the problems, as I mentioned before, they span all the way from figuring out whether a drug is effective or which subpopulation of patients it's effective for, and even basic questions in drug development, such as weighing efficacy of a drug versus their side effects, is something that's very complicated in a situation where information about the effects of a drug are so vague and so unclear. And this, together with a very low risk to a clinical program, makes the whole process much smoother. Just to get a general idea of the size of the problem on the one hand, and the motivation to solve it. So even just for ALS, multiple sclerosis, and Parkinson's, about $150 million a year are being invested in either assessing patients in drug trials by physicians or by nurse specialists, or using new experimental biomarkers that so far none has been something that turned into a good mixture of usefulness and patient friendliness. The decisions that stem from these processes are actually huge, because the later stage drug trials in neurology, specifically in these three diseases, are overall a decision of about $10 billion every year. And this is where we are coming in and supporting the process. We have really a large and very active advisory board in the company. 2 Nobel laureates. One of them is Tom Sudoff, a guy that modeled the synaptic transmission, and a lot of very prominent physicians, both in Parkinson's and multiple sclerosis. I have a co-founder that's the ex-CTO of Flatiron, and I'm blessed to have a co-founder as the ex-head of global R&D in Teva. And I think we are looking for investors that are excited about the revolution we're trying to push in neurology, and would like to help us accelerate it and bring us to the promised land faster.
Thank you, Eddie. This was very interesting. Any questions? Anybody wants to ask something? Okay, if not, you can contact Eddie later. So next one would be Yair Lahav from
Yeah.
Dr. Mevital Vision. So Yair, please.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Yair Yahav, CEO of Revital Vision. Thank you for inviting me to this to present. We are a digital health startup. We offer a unique solution that utilizes neural plasticity to improve vision. There is a huge unmet need of hundreds of millions of people worldwide with poor or insufficient vision, which cannot be further improved by existing eye treatment. It includes amblyopia or lazy eye beyond the critical age, which is considered untreatable after the age of 9. Amblyopia is a vision disorder in which the brain fails to process input from one eye and favor the other. And over time, that neglected eye develops poor vision, and there's binocular dysfunctions. Amblyopia is the leading cause for decreased vision from infancy until the age of 40, with about 3% of the world population. In addition, patients with low vision from various eye diseases like corneal or retinal diseases who already maximized vision potential by treating the eyes with medication, optical correction, or surgery. And lastly, unhappy post-cataract and laser refractive surgery patients who are challenged with low contrast sensitivity, difficulty to neuroadapt post-surgery, and side effects such as halo and glares. There's also hundreds of millions of people with a minor refractive error on the verge of the need for glasses who wish to be less dependent on glasses to see well. Current vision treatments are focused on bending lights and correcting the anatomy of the eyes. Our solution is to teach the brain to see better. Revital Vision improves vision by enhancing the brain ability to process visual information, providing significant vision improvement beyond the eyes and beyond current treatments. The product is a prescribed home-based vision training app that effectively stimulates the brain visual cortex. It's algorithm and cloud-based technology tailored to patient-specific needs. Following a standard vision exam, the clinician prescribes the treatment and sets up the patient on a cloud-based system. The patient trains 3 times a week and completes 30 to 40 training sessions at home and returns back to the clinic for a follow-up exam. The clinical outcomes are significant vision improvement. More than 2 lines on the visual acuity test chart. It's very significant. Every line represents about 10% vision. 100% in contrast sensitivity function back to normal range. And many of the amblyopic and nystagmus patients improve stereo and binocular functions. So our key advantages, we have the only FDA-cleared product with efficacy claim to improve amblyopia age 9 and up. We received 2 new US reimbursement codes for amblyopia treatment. It is clinically validated and effective in multiple clinical indications, both medical and wellness. And it's algorithm-based IP with high entry barriers. Our technology represents a unique competitive advantage, being the world's only product clinically proven and FDA cleared for amblyopia age 9 and up, a leading cause for impaired vision. We currently don't see significant competition in other indications such as low vision and post-surgery. There are 27 clinical studies proving the efficacy in different indications, 11 published in peer-reviewed journals. 7 of them are controlled randomized. 5 additional RCTs are ongoing. Recent achievements, a new randomized control study proving significant vision improvement in stable keratoconus patients, which are lacking any effective treatment, was chosen the Best Scientific Poster Award for the upcoming meeting of the American Society of Cataract and Refractive Surgery. It will be presented in April 6 in Boston. Another new randomized control study from Shamir Medical Center proving significant vision improvement in patients with congenital nystagmus who are lacking any other effective treatment will be presented in the upcoming meeting of the American Association for Pediatric Ophthalmology and Strabismus in Austin, April 10, so all within 2 weeks. Another study on keratoconus patients with promising results was recently accepted for publication in the prestige American Journal of Ophthalmology. So we work with eye clinics, any place where a vision can be examined, optometry shops and eye surgery institutes. Our business model is B2B. Clinics subscribe to our platform to be able to offer this treatment to patients. Clinics bill patients for the 3 months or 2 months program with 50 to 90% gross margin. And we reach out to clinics directly and through business partners on a revenue share business model. We have also 2 programs available online for direct purchase by patients, the post-cataract and sports vision. This is our current ARR, which was achieved with almost no marketing budget and with very minimal sales resources. We plan to reach $1.5 million sales and $2.6 million ARR in the first year following our Series A round. And we can reach $75 million ARR with a unicorn valuation with 7,500 clinics active subscription. Our team includes experts from the healthcare industry, software engineers, marketing, and a clinical team that works with our customers, eye doctors, and optometrists. We have a very experienced board of directors, CEOs from the industry, and a world-renowned scientific advisory board. We are now raising $6 million US Series A, primarily to scale up in the US market. We already secured $2.5 million from a leading investor. I'm happy to share more details for those who may be considering joining the round. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yair. Thanks, this was interesting. See that there are no questions online, so we'll move on to EpiduTech. Miri, please.
Hi, so good morning and good afternoon to everybody. My name is Miri Tal, and I'm with EpiduTech for the last 6 months, following more than 20 years in the healthcare and imaging and spine market. I hope I'll be able to convey the invaluable technology we have in 7 minutes. So what do we do in EpiduTech? We develop a new platform based on magnets and neural networks to elevate the navigation market to a new generation, starting from a spine surgery market. So what do we have? There are more than 3.5 million spine surgeries per year around the world, with almost half of it in the US. And according to the literature, almost 30% will be forced to undergo a revision surgery, derived mostly from inaccuracy of visualization, and that can be solved with navigation. So why isn't it happening? Why only 20% of the surgeries are performed with navigation? We see that most of the navigation systems are still super expensive, super bulky. They are complex to use, and they have a big footprint. The procedure is limited due to the technology, and most of the big ones are brand bundled dependency. We at EpiduTech believe that with the new generation platform based on AI and magnets, we can make the same or even better precision and accuracy affordable across all hospitals, clinics, and ambulatory centers. So how does it look? This is like an image of a typical operating room with the current navigation system. So there's a camera over here, and there's a tracker on the tool for each tool, and the tracker is based proximally on the tool. And there's another invasive tracker that is placed somewhere on the patient, an auxiliary console, and a monitor or goggles with the VR. And what do we actually suggest? So just picture that we have a less invasive, affordable, and compact navigation system. No need for camera, no need for any bulky tracker. The tracker will be placed on the distal part of the instrument. We can be agnostic to any instrument, non-invasive tracker for the patient, and no auxiliary console. So this will be in the size of my iPhone, and it can be placed on the patient, register, and go super, super easy and fast. So we believe that we can be more accurate than the systems in the market due to the advanced AI that we are using. Super intuitive because of it. The registration should be faster than what we have today, without having to compromise neither on the depth or the angulation or the trajectory. It's with affordable costs. It's no cords, no wires, and no line of sights, which is a big limitation. Of course, we will reduce the X-ray, we will ensure the safety, accurate implant placement, and that's it. The market is huge. We're talking about market that currently is about close to $4 billion, with the course expected to grow to more than $10 billion. And when we look at the competitive that we have, most of the systems today in the market cost with a capital equipment of $100,000 to over $1 million when we talk about robots. Service agreements is an average of $60,000 per year. And the consumable is another cost that the hospital bears. We can take only consumable price and still be super profitable with a very nice gross margin, with a very, very small footprint in the room, with a very easy and simple intuitive workflow. We can be agnostic to any tool and not have been married to any of the systems. And due to the fact that we are tracking the distal part of the instrument, we are not married with any straight or rigid instrument. We can use deflected instrument, we can use any curved instrument, and by that increasing the number of procedures, not only by having more navigation systems, rather also by having more procedures that we can use navigation. So who are we? We are a startup company in Israel. Our platform is based on AI and magnetic sensing. We have a very prestigious call, most of them in the US. The investors are NGT Healthcare, the Israeli Innovation Authority, and some private investors, including some very prestigious spine surgeons that recognize the advantage of this system. The regulatory path that we are going is without any clinical, we don't need any clinical, and it should be a 510K. The first in human that we plan to do is just a market education for our calls. We are backed up with some strong patents, and we believe that we are a perfect fit for the ASCs. So this is the team. Me and Yossi together, I guess we have more than 30 years in spine. And we have together with us other very strong people in the board of directors. And we have super prestigious surgeons, some of them probably easy, if not all of them. Timetable. So we plan to
1 minute here.
We plan to finish the design and freeze the design by the end of 2025, and then do this first in human, do some corrections, and then file to the FDA by the end of 2025 and launch the product. What do we ask? We ask for $2.5 million to get there. 80% will be for R&D, of course, and we believe that with our platform, we just start with the spine and branch out for way more than that. Thank you.
Thank you, Miri. Next one is longevity with Guy and Kyla presenting, please.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. So my name is Kayla Reisner. I lead the business development with the company, and I'm here with Guy Leidersdorf, our founder and CEO. So I'll start us off with just kind of framing our view of longevity, a bit of overview about the company, and then Guy will jump into the visualization of our algorithm, bit under the hood of our front-end product. So at Longevity AI, we are focused on giving people additional healthy years. So to set the stage, the world is getting older. We have aging populations around the world. It's happening at an increasingly rapid rate. And when we look into these populations, we see a major challenge. Lifespan, how long we live, and health span, really there's this large gap. Due to modern medicine, we've had major advancements in how long we live, but health span has not kept pace. And on average, people are living with 12 unhealthy years. And this is costly not only on the individuals, but the system as a whole. So to kind of dig into, what is an unhealthy year, we looked into some CDC data, and we found that actually 80% of unhealthy years are comprised by just these 5 conditions: cardiovascular disease, dementia, diabetes, obesity, and cancer. And so that is where our product is focused. So just to give you a bit of information about how we look at giving healthy years, so predicting and preventing chronic disease, I'll go through an example of cardiovascular disease. So first, what we do is we look at how it's done today. And the clinical standard for predicting someone's risk of cardiovascular disease is called the Framingham score. And when you talk to doctors, they say it's the standard, it's not that great, it's not that actionable because it's not accurate enough. The original study was done on a small group of white men in the US, and it's still what is used as the risk prediction for most people around the world. And actually, the calculation was designed to be done by hand because that's what medicine needed at the time. Of course, now we have much more at our disposal. So what we do is we start with the clinical standard, and then we layer on top of it everything that evidence-based medicine has to offer. So for example, how many steps you take in a day has a big effect, and we're all walking around with phones that calculate that automatically. So it's really leaving stuff on the table that can give doctors much more actionable insights. So of course, if you're giving healthy years, prediction is only half of the puzzle. The second half is actually prevention. So what we do is we look at the most riskiest modifiable biomarkers, and then we match them with lifestyle interventions that are not only medically relevant, but also something that the person is actually likely to do. And the overall goal here is to really help someone delay their onset of chronic disease. I'll skip through here. So just to give kind of a quick overview of our solution, we have a dashboard for care teams, for physicians. We have an app for patients. And then what Guy will go into is the visualization of the algorithm. And I'll just touch a bit on our traction so far. So we are doing big data work with Maccabi, and then we just signed one other large network partner here in Israel. And then for the front-end products, we're working with a clinic in Canada. And then actually just a few hours before this meeting started, we signed a second client in Dubai.
Yes. All right. Thanks, Kayla. So if I may, I would like to take you a little bit to my nerdy part. I'm a data science nerd. Can you still see my screen? Yeah, awesome. Okay. So looking a little bit under the hood, we thought of what to show. So the front end is nice, is cool. But what clients usually like best is to see a little bit of the AI representation. So we're working with experts on the aging conditions. It's what Kayla showed before, and all these aging conditions has in in parallel, in common, is aging is the most common risk factor in all of them. So when we're consulting with all the experts in the aging conditions and behavioral experts, we ask them one simple question. How can we have one conversation regarding health span? And they said, okay, let's first look at all the incoming data. So these are all the blood parameters ever connected to the...
sharing a screen because
It's not sharing.
Okay, yeah, sure. A sec. Can you see now?
yeah.
Awesome, thanks. All right. So, we asked all the experts, how can we have this one conversation? And they said, okay, let's first look at all the incoming data, all the blood parameters ever connected to the aging conditions. And then, okay, genes are important too, right? So we're starting from the 75 ACMG genes, American College of Genetics and Genomics. But we also do whole genomic sequencing analysis for clinicians who want to do that as well. Wearables, we're taking the raw data from the devices of Apple, Google, Samsung. We have partnership with them. And in some cases, we can even change the algorithm. For example, resting heart rate is most valuable just when you wake up, not in the clinic. So, using the accelerometer and the heart rate to get that last heart rate measurement before you get out of bed. Social determinants of health, all the rage now if you go to conventions. So all these elements that are not in the control of the physician, the patient. Basically, if you tell me to do the CDC recommendation for pre-diabetic people and do my 150 minutes of workout, or 75 high intensity, well, it's meaningless if I don't have a gym next to me and tell me to go to the gym. But what if you know that I have a park next to me and you ask me to do those 20-minute walk, but not today because it's raining? Same goes for microbiome, epigenetics, clinical questionnaire, medical procedures, physical examination. And my personal favorite is engagement. In my previous position, I had the privilege of working for ironSource, the third largest advertising tech company, so Google, Facebook, ironSource. And I had the privilege of leading their AI product development. And, it's all those micro engagement with the solution to see if you have some inclination to do a specific action. So we can start expecting medical tech not to be, oh, it's been a month, let's change a little bit the regimen. We really want to know if this is something that you're willing to do right now. On the right-hand side,
1 minute, guy.
Thanks. On the right-hand side, we see all the opportunities to really help people. So we partner with the Olympic team in Israel. We have great advisors on that. All the opportunities to know about someone's activity, nutrition, mind, even down to the rhythm, the 3 genes that control our hormones and in turn control when we're most awake, sleepy, most inclined, and ready to do specific type of sports. And it can even be as simple as, if you haven't slept well, it's not the time to do a new regimen. My favorite part is a data scientist. So we collect all the medically relevant papers. We download it from PubMed on a daily basis. And unlike Framingham, we can have many different types of papers and evidence-based medicine for different ages, genders, ethnicities. And physicians that work with us are just excited to see what they learn in medical school. It actually appears here. And in some cases, they actually tell us, you know what, maybe you can add something. And this is how we can tailor it to each proactive care strategy of each clinic. And they're also very excited about our dashboard and app, but we'll leave that for another time. That's it for us. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for this. Moving on to Cahoon. Tom, the floor is yours.
All right, just sharing my screen. Do you see it properly?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Tom, and I lead business strategy at Cahoon. And today I'm excited to share a bit on how we help partners generate reliable clinical insights using the only evidence-based knowledge graph for healthcare. Health tech companies, just like any other companies in any industry right now, are integrating generative AI, and they face fundamental challenges when doing so for clinical insights, because there are certain limitations that are very hard to overcome. generative AI is a black box. It doesn't refer to its sources. It's inconsistent, and it's based on textual context, not on clinical understanding. And the result is just unreliable clinical solutions. In healthcare, this is the problem because healthcare providers would only use solutions that are based on scientific evidence. And so in order to overcome the limitations and use generative AI in a clinical setting, we need a clinical oversight, and we need it in real time. Kahoon does that using the only evidence-based knowledge graph for healthcare. And we provide, with the knowledge graph, clinical factuality rather than text generated using generative AI alone, transparency versus a black box, consistency, and patient-specific insights, not just general information. So what is this knowledge graph and why is it unique? The knowledge graph contains and employs the very complex connections, the clinical and statistical connections in medical knowledge, and it captures all of them into one structured language. Each data point is referred to the originating source in medical literature, and this is how we're able to provide transparency and accuracy into the output. Our solution is a clinical oversight API. To provide reliable clinical insights on patient data from partner solution, once an LLM output is being generated, Kahoon reviews it using its clinical oversight API in real time and validates the accuracy and the reliability of the information. It, in fact, produces a clinical reliability source that correlates with the scientific evidence. Then, once the information is validated, the output is being available to the partner solution, and it is also referenced. So we undo the black box effect and provide references to the validated output. In some cases, the LLM is already inside. This is mostly for companies that are not developing their own LLM. So instead of using the LLM in an independent way, such as GPT or any other solution, they just receive it as a package. And so this way they receive the clinically validated insights directly to their solution, working with Kahoon alone. To visually kind of show an example of how we add clinical support to partner solution using our API. Let's take, for example, a case where we're integrated in an EHR, where we receive clinical patient data. Kahoon processes the patient data using LLM and our knowledge graph and outputs clinically validated information about this specific patient that is also referenced, such as a clinical summary, an assessment, a suggested workup, etc., all referenced to medical literature. In terms of the market, of course, we see a great outburst with generative AI. Everyone's using it. And we also see a lot of overlap between companies. So companies that have once were only scribing companies are now developing their own LLMs. Companies that were once content publishers are now also developing search engines. Many overlaps. But what we see across the board is that everyone are building their solutions on top of large language models. And so in order to appeal to healthcare customers, they would need to have it backed by scientific evidence. They would need the clinical oversight. Most of the companies from the previous slide are in back office. And that's really the trend now, all the scribing tools, automation tools. And the next step is clinical decision support. We see the big players talking about this. And we know that many companies are investing in such tools right now. This really gives us a strong conviction in what we see and where we see the market is going towards. And for building clinical decision support apps and software, they would need the clinical oversight that is related to the scientific evidence. This is a must for healthcare providers. In terms of traction and validation, we've conducted validation studies. We have published them in renowned publications, and we've also gained traction with partners from different types of industries. We are active in urgent care, in an ER, and are very widespread in terms of where the solution is applicable. To touch on the finances, we're currently focused on establishing Kahuna as the clinical foundation for AI in healthcare. And to do that, we're partnering with software companies, health tech, such as EHR, scribing tools, also with LLM companies, and with healthcare systems innovation hubs. We charge by provider or by transaction, and help these companies, help these partners generate trust, reduce liability, and create competitive advantage.
1 minute, Tom.
All right. Over the next 18 months, we are looking to form research collaborations. Some of them are already in very interesting progress, such as with the Ministry of Defense in Israel, and with the Ichilov Zurasky Center in Tel Aviv. We are assembling a clinical advisory board, working on flagship partnerships, making the product enhancements that are necessary, and assembling and building a US sales team. And we hope you join us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this, Tom. And now we're going to have Agada, the last company presenting today. We're going to have 3 speakers on behalf of Agada. So Scott, Isidore, and Kobe, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is Scott Gunnagle. I'm the CEO of Agada Medical. I'm joined by our Chief Technology Officer, Kobe Blanc, based in Israel, and Dr. Isidore Lieberman, based in Dallas, Texas today.
Hello, everybody.
You guys can hear me okay?
Yep.
And can you see my slide?
In Hebrew is a legend, it's a legend.
Yeah, he is a legend. And we think so too. So we've got the enviable task of presenting to you all last today. So the only thing standing between your evening is us. So we will be crisp and efficient. Can everybody see my slide?
Not yet, Scott.
Let's see. I've got share and I've got. How about now?
Still nothing, buddy.
Hold on. How about
there,
now?
it's coming up. Now we got it.
Now we can see.
Excellent. So we are enterprise surgical AI, and the value proposition is very simple. Many of you have taken a flight recently and realized that, gosh, I wouldn't have gotten on that plane had the pilot not taken into account the headwinds ahead, the amount of fuel, the amount of weight and luggage and baggage. And at Agada Medical, we are contemplating the same thoughts as it relates to spinal surgical outcomes. Not just
Scott,
similar.
Go to the presentation mode. You're still.
I'm still stuck.
Yeah.
Okay. That is. I apologize. I am on a different computer. Interesting.
Scott, if you want, I've got the slides up. I can share the screen.
Oh, can you see it? Did it change?
Yeah, we can see. That's fine too.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and move forward, Izzy. So the problem is this, and one of the previous presenters talked about this. There's an unacceptable failure rate that's occurring in primary spine surgeries where 1/3 of them move to revision. The metaphor we use is, whether you have a total knee arthroplasty or PTCA or a cataract surgery or most major medical procedures done in Tampa, Florida, or Tel Aviv, Israel, it's the same procedure. there's a recipe for that. And what we're endeavoring to do at Agata Medical is offer that same sort of recipe by moving the art of spine surgery to the science of spine surgery. And how we're doing that is by creating deep neural learning networks and informing clinicians through multiple disparate data sources to imprint or educate to show what will be the optimal results in that given situation for that individual patient. There are a number of ways we do this alchemistic build out, but what we like to say here is that it's the architect versus the structural engineer. The structural engineer has to build the symmetry and the buttresses in the structure to ensure the stability of the building that's being contemplated by the architect. And how we do that is by creating human modeling software, morphing it into biomechanical simulation, and blending it with artificial intelligence. Again, to take the historic look at bias, to remove the bias from the surgical plan, from training and mentorship to a scientific view of what will be optimal outcomes. There are effectively three ways in which we do that, and that is taking the patient planning and imaging, morphing it into the analytical platform of the spine oracle itself, and then it will come out with a recommended surgical plan and a suggested execution methodology for optimal improvement of intervention. And there are a number of benefactors in this that are to be considered. So we've already begun a dialogue with US-based insurers. We believe that governments will benefit from this as well, because they are the ultimate payers, as it were. And we believe this to be our first landing zone being an InsurTech product with a lot of different revenue opportunities. But ultimately, the patient's going to benefit, the surgeon's going to use, and the payer, whoever it is, whether it's an insurer, a payvider, a TPA, or a government, is going to yield the benefit of the obviated unnecessary costs for the dearth of cases that are moving to second surgeries unnecessarily. And our belief is, and the team of 22 investors we have that are spine surgeons today, feedback we get is the largest impactor of this is the lack of understanding of the multiple forces throughout the very complex spinal cord. You know, so where are we today? We're an enterprise level surgical AI platform. We have a lead. Lead in our Series A identified. We are looking for follow-on investment, and we'd ask you to thoughtfully consider those that have stayed with us to take this ride with us. It's a worthwhile endeavor. I was fortunate enough to hear the former CEO of Johnson & Johnson speak last week, Alex Skorsky, related to what is valuable in today's investment market. And what is valuable today is transformational technology, not incremental, but transformational. And we believe at Agata Medical, we're on the precipice of this with world leaders in their fields and thought leaders like Dr. Lieberman, Kobe Blanc, and others. And we appreciate this time today. Dr. Lieberman, anything to close?
This was a very good session. Just thank you to the individuals that put it together. There's some very exciting technology. As a spine surgeon today, I'm really optimistic, despite all the negative rhetoric and despite all the scrutiny on spine surgery. We're in a privileged position. You've seen a lot of technology out there, and there's even more technology on the shelf. We just have to figure out how to use it to the benefit of our patients. So we've got great people. I was really intrigued by some of the deep learning neural network stuff, some of the navigation stuff. And what we're doing at Agata is bridging that gap. We've got the robotics. And for those who know my background, I've been very involved with the robotics and the navigation for over 20 years now. What we don't have is the recipe. We don't have the same operation for the same person done the same way to ensure to optimize the outcome and to minimize the financial burden that we're all carrying right now.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. And again, Ms. Cohen, that will be the end of our presentation. We would ask for anybody that would be interested in having a deeper discussion about where we are specifically in the round we're raising for. My information is available.
Well, thank you. I mean, this was a great 1 hour, and I think all the companies were fantastic. So just wrapping this up, first of all, this is going to be available. This recording is going to be available on LinkedIn probably tomorrow, so people can listen again and also share it with others. Obviously, any one of the participants in the audience, we had about 50, who wants to meet any of the specific companies is welcome to approach Hili and Ophir, and they will make the connection. We are going to have demo days. We had a demo day last quarter, Q4, on impact investment. This one is on, as you saw, life science, digital health. We're going to have one in June, probably around food tech and so on. So we're trying to do it every quarter, trying to help our clients, not just by giving them legal service, but also by introducing them to potential investor and increasing their exposure to the market. So really appreciate it. And Hili, if you want to conclude, and then we'll call it a day.
I think it was long enough, longer than expected. So I thought it was fascinating. I enjoyed it. Thank you, everybody, for taking part, and good luck to all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.